while we are not a social impact fund, we are making an impact on society. And so giving someone a call and telling them that you're investing is like the most awesome experience.
Hi, I'm John Timmerman. And I'm Rob Schauger.
And I'm Al Kutri. And I'm John Timmerman.
And we are the co-founders of the NoBull company.
Hey y'all, today's episode is brought to you by Mail Order Hides, the best damn assless chaps you ever did have, made of 100% Italian cowhide shipped directly to your door. You know how some people like to say ride or die? Well, we like to say hide or die.
What's up, NoBull Nation? Welcome to I'm a Little Buzzed, the show where we bring a ridiculous amount of life to business. Soon to be coming to you straight out of the Syracuse studios. Syracuse is Syracuse's latest and greatest co-working space, combining creativity, community, and comfort into this new remote work life era that we live in.
Dig it.
Al, what's getting you buzzed right now?
3 words. Pumpkin spice latte. Yeah,
it's fall, baby.
I don't want to say it, but I'm a basic babe. I'm like the ultimate basic.
You're a basic Al.
I'm a basic Al. I'm a basic Kutri.
Yeah, basic Kutri.
But I love them. I don't care if I'm celebrating fall prematurely. I don't care.
Nope.
I'm going to go and I'm going to get one.
You know what? I had a moment in my life when I loved pumpkin spice everything.
And you don't anymore?
I think it crushed my taste buds.
Oh.
I just drank it like every day, multiple times a day. Coffee. I had the the donuts, just all of it. I went too hard. Beer,
too
the
much
all beer.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I don't know.
Just a pumpkin spice latte.
I ruined it for myself.
Boots, but.
All right, Tom Brady.
No, but I also ordered, because I'm going just a little overboard, a company called Flavor God. Has anyone heard of this? Flavor God?
Yes, spices.
Pumpkin for my coffee, because I don't want to mention any, corporate chain names in case we get them as a sponsor, but I don't want to go to certain places and get that because it's like sugar and garbage and chemicals. Yeah. So Flavor God, pumpkin for the coffee. So maybe we'll see how it goes.
Nice. Awesome. I'm getting buzzed about seeing human beings again.
Oh.
So there was I was just talking to my wife about this, like a good 4 months, maybe 3 or 4 months when I was like, this is actually awesome. Terrible for the world, terrible for people, but awesome for me.
Yeah.
I have like an introvert side of me where I just like want to do my own thing and whatever, work and play and do whatever I sort of want. And I was like, I don't have to go to meetings. I can Zoom call a meeting. I can be in my underwear, go to camp. I can do and now I'm like, yeah, I miss people.
Really?
I want to seeing you now after, listen, I saw a bunch of people at camp, great family, had an amazing time, but other people is now I'm excited. I was excited to do this show. And
I don't know if I feel this. I feel
like
I went the opposite. I feel like I got so used to just being alone and not having to do anything that I'm very much settled into it.
Now you're good, yeah?
Now I'm like, people ask me to go out. You want to go do this? And I'm like, I'm good. I think I'm going to stay home tonight.
Dude, just get married and have kids, and that will be the rest of your life.
No.
Yeah. We just had that conversation this weekend, actually.
Yeah.
We were with some other, her Lindsay's family who's married, they're all married and kids and stuff like that. And we're just talking about COVID and going out and we were all just sort of we want to go out, but when it actually comes time to go out for more than an hour and a half to party or happy hour, we're just
I know.
I just want to go home.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I've had it for the next 3 months.
I feel the same. I love to relax. That porch out there, I sit out there.
Do you have a rocking chair?
No, not yet.
Like an old man?
Not yet. But I'm
banging your cane?
I'm one step away from a glider.
Ooh.
And that's going to be a big play for me. I mean, thank God winter is coming, so it's going to prevent me from really...
You could be in your bathrobe.
I won't be on the porch.
Slippers.
I'll be in the sauna. Just rocking myself slowly alone.
You have a sauna? Oh, the sauna. I was thinking hot tub. I'm like, you have a sauna also, in addition to a sauna?
2 sauna?
Yikes.
Yeah, I do.
All right.
So that's it.
Whatever. On that note.
Whatever.
What's up, NoBull Nation? You all know that our conference is getting closer by the minute. On April 8th, 2021, we are holding NoBull 2020 2.0, presented by Bankers Healthcare Group, to teach you how to get more out of life and business. We've got an amazing lineup of speakers. Gary Vaynerchuk has built a conglomerate media company, $200 million ad agency, co-founder of Vayner Sports and a bunch of other crazy media companies. AJ Vaynerchuk, his brother, is the CEO of Vayner Sports, a new age sports agency. David Meltzer is the co-founder with Warren Moon of Sports One Marketing, a multi-$100 million sports agency. Constance Schwartz-Marini co-founded Smack Entertainment with Michael Strahan and Aaron Andrews. I mean, these are crazy successful people that are going to teach you how they've grown their businesses. And you can get a free ticket, $250 front section ticket. All you have to do is head to empathywines.com and order 12 bottles of delicious wine and use the code NoBull2020 at checkout, and bam, you get a free ticket. So if you love wine, it's fall, we're headed into delicious red wine season. We got red, rosé, white wine. Order 12 bottles of your favorite wine. Use the code NoBull2020 at checkout, and you will be sent a free ticket. empathywines.com, NoBull2020 at checkout. We'll see you there.
On today's show, we have the buzzworthy, amazing human being, Candice Matthews Brackeen. Candice is an entrepreneur who founded and runs Hillman, an accelerator and educational program based in Cincinnati for underrepresented founders. She's now general partner at Lightship Capital, a fund that believes social impact and profit are simultaneously achievable. They are raising $50 million to find, fund, and educate remarkable, underrepresented innovators in regions typically excluded from meaningful access to mentorship and venture capital. Buzz Nation, NoBull Nation, please welcome Candice Matthews Brackeen. Hi, Candice.
Hey there.
How are you today?
Pretty good. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday to you too. Thank you so much for being with us. We're excited to dive into you, what you are up to, and your thoughts on the business and real world as we see it today. But before we do that, we have a series of rapid fire questions, which we're still trying to land a name on. We've called it a few different things. Today, it's called the Sippy Sip.
Yeah.
Al, what's the Sippy Sip?
The Sippy Sip. Formerly known as the pregame, today's the Sippy Sip.
Yeah.
So,
we stopped drinking so heavily on the show, though.
Yeah.
So, kind of defeats the purpose of that name.
We'll figure it out, the final name. But today's Sippy Sip. Very simple, free association. I'm going to ask you some random questions. Whatever comes to your mind, spit it out. Tell us what you think. If you just don't like it, you're like, stupid question, Al, just say pass or say stupid question, Al. Whatever you want to say. But ready?
Ready.
First thing you do when you wake up.
Check my Facebook.
Amen. Dunkin' or Starbucks?
Starbucks.
Favorite sport?
Football.
Oh, I thought you were going to say basketball, but you didn't. Fill in the blank. 2020 is?
Oh, the worst. It's the worst. It's literally the worst.
Literally the worst. How do you feel about country music?
Love it. I love the Chicks, formerly known as the Dixie Chicks. I've seen them in concert twice. I'm all about country music.
Nice.
I'm actually friends with one of them on Facebook, and I don't know how.
Al also checks his Facebook every morning just to see if she's replied yet.
Yeah, hoping the other two Dixie Chicks will add me. Instead of just the one. Okay, in high school, you would be voted most likely to?
God, I was such a nerd in high school, so probably most likely to run a business. I was the treasurer of my class for like my junior and senior year, but also was in the marching band, so dork. Yeah, I don't know.
All right.
Awesome business dork.
Yeah.
Describe the Midwest in one word or two or whatever you want.
Ooh. I just think it's the best. I love the Midwest. I really do. I'm really all about it.
I love it. If you could be any animal, what would it be?
A chicken.
A chicken. Do tell.
I love chicken.
Yeah. Can we go off the rapid fire for a minute?
Just for 1 second. Why chicken?
I love chickens.
Okay.
So I've owned my own chickens.
Oh yeah.
They not only like give life, but like they're so multifunctional, right? You can eat them. They lay eggs. They're actually like, they can be great companions. They have great personalities. I know that's weird, but I've had 5 chickens: chicken tetrazzini, chicken nugget. They all had
chicken
Chicken
tetrazzini, yeah. Chicken Little. That one actually died because of this guy.
Did you know, this little fun fact, if you ever get chickens again, I just saw this morning, so I'm so glad this came up, that you can buy little human arms that you put on the back of the chicken.
And then they go.
Yep. And they're like little arms.
Yeah, it's super weird.
We have to get a graphic of that to put in.
I'm gonna buy. Can you buy them on like Amazon or something?
I don't know where, but it's fantastic.
We have a chicken lady. She actually has a card that's where Lindsay and I get all of our eggs.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
So we go. She's around the street. We buy all our eggs. So I'm gonna get her a bunch of little chicken arms.
Chicken arms.
And yeah.
All right. Moving forward. Finish this sentence. If you want something done right, blank.
Hire well.
Oh, I love it.
That was fantastic. I knew you'd crush that one. True or false? Air fryers seem suspicious.
True.
There you have it.
Okay.
Sippy sip over.
Oh.
Fantastic.
Yeah, Candice, mic drop. That was probably the longest rapid fire, purely because your answers and
best.
your last question were so interesting.
Maybe we stick with Sippy Sip. Maybe
I don't know. Maybe Sippy Sip's the name. Anyway.
It was fun. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Well, Candice, now is the time when we cheers to you, our guest, something ridiculous that we made up to make people laugh. So cheers to you, Candice, to life, love, lots of laughter, and wondering for at least a mile if you close the garage door, even though you know you closed the garage door. Damn it. I got to go back and check if I closed the garage door. Cheers.
Cheers to that.
I mean, it's true.
It's so true.
Like,
now I'm wondering if I closed my garage door.
there you have it.
Anyways.
I don't have a garage, so it doesn't matter.
I don't either. So
Good for us.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, I don't, yeah. Well, anyways, so that's all the fun part. Now we get into the super interesting part.
You.
Yeah, Candice, we've researched you, your fund. I've listened to podcasts, and we did our homework. However, it doesn't shed light on the great things that you're doing. So before we get into any questions, can you just describe to our audience who you are and what you're up to these days?
So how far back do you want me to go?
However far back you want. Where'd you grow up? Who are you as a person in a nutshell? A minute or two on that, and then what are you doing professionally?
Sure.
Toledo?
Dang on, you guys are good. Okay, so I'm originally from Toledo. I come from a pretty humble upbringing. And so for what that means is I had a teen mom, and I was born in the housing projects of Toledo. Wasn't always there. We ended up living in a pretty kind of normal middle class part of town. I actually grew up in the Polish village of Toledo. So my babysitter as a kid, her name was Busha Gorski. She was a Polish grandmother. Taught me how to make pierogi and puszki and kielbasa and lanier and you name it. I was all about, and I can polka better than the rest of them.
Wow.
I moved to Cincinnati to be a first generation college student. And I thought I wanted to study teaching. But what I realized is that I don't like other people's kids. And so I couldn't be a teacher if I didn't like other people's kids. So one of my professors took a liking to me and offered me a scholarship in economics. So I ended up studying economics and statistics, but realized right after college that I can't sit still. My ADHD is a blessing and a curse. And so I became a consultant.
We know.
He's like, we get this.
People. You're our people, yeah.
It is really.
And so I did a lot of consulting, going into small to medium-sized businesses, helping them restructure their marketing and sales divisions, and just cycled that over and over for about 12 years. About 6 years ago, I got a wild hair to start my own tech company. It's a little tiny app called Hello Parent. We help parents connect and organize activities. We're a startup in residence for part of the Kroger Corporation. And it's kind of in those moments where I realized that raising venture capital was difficult for Black women. Less than 1% of all venture capital goes to a Black-led company, 0.2% to one led by a Black woman. I thought, how can I solve this issue for myself and for my community? So I started a little meetup group, 11 people, started meeting at a bar every month. We shared knowledge about enterprise sales and marketing and fundraising tips, etc. We started traveling together. That group of 11 people has raised collectively about $115 million over the last 5 years.
Wow.
And it was from that group that we started to grow. By the 5th month, we were 75 founders, funders, and friends. And some of us sat down and decided we were going to start an accelerator to get more people in this mix funded and give them better access. Mm-hmm. So in 2017, I launched an accelerator specifically focused on BIPOC. Well, I guess before it was BIPOC, that was a thing in 2017. So Black, Indigenous, people of color, LGBTQ, and women-led companies. I've been running that here in Cincinnati for the last, I guess now 3.5 years. What we realized was that, this group of people is over-mentored but under-capitalized. So when I started the accelerator, we had a small micro fund, just kind of like friends and family here in the local area, just putting money in to invest in this group of people. But we needed to do something bigger. So late last year, we decided to launch a $20 million fund focused on these founders throughout the Midwest. And we're now at $45 million in commitments. So we overshot our goal. And so we've got a stretch goal of raising $50 million. So I have an accelerator called Hillman, and I have a fund called Lightship Capital. Both kind of feed the other, but that's who I am.
Wow, congrats on the $45 million. The content that we listened to, knew your goal originally, I think was 20
million.
And then you crushed that, in one of the first, couple of, months or whatever, early on, right? And
early on.
Then went to 50. Now you're at 45. That's awesome. Good for you guys. Yeah. That's super exciting. On the note of let's fast right forward. We'll go back in time a little bit, but fast right forward till today. What is the most exciting part about your job? Your career. What's giving you the fulfillment?
Oh, it's the founders, right? Like investing in their dreams. So while we are not a social impact fund, we are making an impact on society. And so giving someone a call and telling them that you're investing is like the most awesome experience. Mm-hmm. To call someone and then to hit the wire transfer button on like $500,000 and that's going to make the biggest impact. That's the best part of the job. It really
It's got to give everybody in the room a major rush. I mean, of excitement.
Seeing people in O Magazine and walking into Target and seeing someone on the shelves. Like I've known these companies since they just started, and then I can go into Target and I can buy it. Like that's just the best. Absolutely the best.
It's like having a child, right? It's like having a little business child. I mean,
it is. My own children do give me excitement. Yes,
but not nearly as much.
But hopefully you don't walk into Target and see them sitting on the shelf. Although I have a newborn, so I'm sure he will be sitting on shelves in grocery stores.
Go climb in there, scoot out all the Legos out of the way and just climb in the back.
Yeah.
Kids will just do random stuff.
So your passion is the founders now, and you and your husband, correct, is also your partner in Lightship, talked about accessibility. Right, and so how does a founder find and come in contact? And we're going to talk about who you serve specifically for the most part, because there's plenty of other podcasts about how a founder can get capital and venture capital and things like that. So let's talk about your specific demographic of underserved people and communities that need it. It's super interesting that you make it so easy, and you are both willing to put in the extra work to have somebody simply pitch you via your website. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, if there's other places or however.
That's absolutely right.
Yeah. It almost it put a smile on my face when I heard that, because I don't have a lot of experience in the VC area. I have a lot of friends and have looked into it myself for my companies previously, hadn't gone that route. But the fact that you're willing to put in the extra work of answering 2,000 emails and actually responding to each of them. So before I go into this, how that works, because I'm just going off of what I've heard, describe why you open this up to putting in the extra work to talk with every single founder who might be terrified of the VC world, especially if they're underserved. How did this come to you, and why'd you go down this path?
Well, when I had my own tech company, I couldn't raise any more capital. I went through my whole network, and my own network got me so far. And then at some point, I hit another investor. I hit an investor. I had my own tech company. So I sent an investor a note in LinkedIn, and he shoots me a note back that says, "I only take introductions through a warm intro."
Okay.
End scene. And that happened actually. So that was actually another Black investor who is very well known, and I know really well now. But he himself didn't take warm introduction or cold intros. And so I was dumbfounded by that. And so how do you extend your network? It's impossible. It's impossible. How do you find that person? Now, LinkedIn will tell you, you're 2 degrees away or 3 degrees away from this particular person, but how do you get there? So why not just lower the barrier to entry and just submit your stuff on a website? I'll get more people, right? It's a win-win for me. And then other people have their voices heard. So, and not only do we invest in companies, like I said before, we educate people as well. So we get plenty of things into the pipeline that we can build up to investment ready, right? It may take them some time. So it may take a year. It may take 2 years. But at least they've learned, and maybe at that point, they got pre-seed dollars from someone else, and then they build up to, into our network, or we help them, find another investor. We're not an end-all, be-all. But I think because women, people of color have a smaller network in venture capital, it is our responsibility to have us be their network.
And in the Midwest, you mentioned warm intros, right? So how hard is it to get a warm intro? I mean, maybe easier in the digital age, right? But if you're not in New York, Boston, Silicon Valley, Austin, Texas, maybe, right? You only have LinkedIn or email or a college buddy or, whatever it might be, right?
Yeah, there's no chance encounters with somebody at the WeWork, right? You wanna know why? Because we don't have a WeWork.
Yeah.
So you run into different cities, it's impossible. When Brian, I hate to say my husband, my partner, here at the fund lived in San Francisco, he was friends with the founders of Pinterest. There's no founders of Pinterest here in the Midwest, right? That just doesn't happen. And so the chance encounters aren't going to happen. So we have to eliminate that situation for ourselves. And we're seeing more and more people do that. Lots of folks are saying, you know what, I've got an inquiry form, just put yourself here. So I know we're not the only ones, but I think it is a growing trend for sure.
Yeah. So advice to a founder who's in an underrepresented, woman, color, Indigenous. So, they pitch to you via your website or another organization. Can you give them, assume that they're not confident, right? Assume that they're fearful, they're terrified, they have this idea. I know you're a little bit further along in terms of who you invest in. You'd like to see some runway, taken up, but describe your advice to them before they're ready for you, and then when they are ready, when they do have some momentum, what do those pitches look like? What do they need to have in them? What do they need to include in them? How do they prepare?
Yeah. So when I pitched my first accelerator myself, one of the mentors said to me, follow your true north, find another crazy person who wants to do this with you, and do a lot of customer research. So I say that to everyone that comes my way, like if they're super early, like if you're a single founder, find some other crazy kid who wants to do this with you, whether or not they're going to be your co-founder or they're going to be your first hire. So find someone else who's willing to do this with you. Figure out like what you're actually trying to build. And then, really go for it. Go talk to lots of customers and figure it out. Don't quit your day job though, right? Like make sure you have enough runway personally before you go out and do this endeavor. And you can do a lot of things between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. to get yourself started, right? Yeah. You're up late playing on Pinterest, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Build a company from 10 to 2. You've got 4 hours a day to work on it. So it's definitely something I say to people. But I also always tell people, venture capital is not the only way to go. You can build a company on revenue. And actually, that's sexier than anything else.
Yeah.
So for us, like some of the companies that we've invested in, we're their first investor. But that was because they waited until they made revenue to get there. So, one company that we're tracking has put $300,000 of their own money into it. They're in 6,000 stores around the country.
Wow.
On $300K. But that's because they generated revenue.
Right.
So I think there's other ways to build a company than, just taking the traditional venture capital route. But when a company pitches us, really the advice is they have to really show me how they're going to give me my money back, right? Because I have to respect my LP's money. So I'm here completely respecting the money.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
We have a $50 million fund. We have a target to own about 10% of the company, right? And I say this to all the founders, 10% of the company, which means, and I also want to return at least half the fund on every investment. So I need you to sell your company for at least $250 million. Tell me how that's going to happen.
Yeah, sure.
And if you can show me that, maybe you're a good candidate. As long as you sit within the sectors that we invest in, consumer packaged goods and services, e-commerce, sustainability, AI, and healthcare. And some people are able to do that and some people aren't. But the ones that can't don't fit. And then everyone else is just well. So we're pretty transparent. Like that's the rules.
Yeah.
That's the rules.
And it's important for people to know that when preparation meets opportunity, right? That's what equals your potential success. And, I could see someone coming in being like, oh yeah, we need this, we need this investment. And then you lay that out and they're like, no, I'm just gonna go. I'll be back. I'm gonna be back. Just hang tight.
Yeah.
That's so important.
Yeah.
Do you have any unique investments or unique stories that really have either been a game changer for you or just an emotional sort of play that you really said, this one really stays with me and my team?
Okay, so let me pull it out of my purse. I don't actually know why I have this in my purse today. So
it was meant to be.
One of the first, isn't this so odd? Is this the first time somebody's like whipped out their purse?
Never.
During the podcast?
No, I think Bob was like, I'll get the thing off the shelf.
I'll tell this story. Has anyone ever done that?
Yeah, we had one. Bob Anderson is the CEO of CBD company who had like these awesome shells on the back of his office, and he's like, "Hold on, let me go grab it." And he like walked off camera and went and grab. I mean, it's fine.
Okay.
Makes for better TV.
Yeah,
absolutely. So, when I started the accelerator, the goal was to like be somebody who's good at picking great companies, sure. Right? Everyone wants to be able to find Uber and Facebook, et cetera. But like, what's my space that I'm good at and how do I figure out how to be a better investor?
Yeah.
So in 2018, I said, you know what, if I'm ever going to invest in healthcare businesses, I really need to understand what it means to invest in healthcare businesses. Right. So I looked for the best conferences around the country and found that there's something called the JP Morgan Biotech Showcase, where for the last decade, some of the biggest biotech and healthcare companies have started to present at. And so I said, okay, I'll go And so when I arrived, they give you this booklet. And in the booklet is like all of these innovations in completely different stages. It shows like who started the company, how long it's been around, if they've raised money, etc. So I flipped through the book and I looked for all of the, and Lord help me for saying this, I looked for all of the names that sounded like women or that were ethnic. And so, because that's what I invest in, right? Like, how do I find 100%. These people? So that's the story. And Twitter can slaughter me for that, but whatever. So I found this woman named Amy Beckley, and she was presenting a company called Prove. It was a progesterone ovulation test for women to test their urine in the morning to see if their progesterone was high enough, because progesterone is necessary to achieve and maintain a pregnancy. Mm-hmm. And what Amy discovered after having 7 of her own miscarriages was that progesterone was the key for her to getting pregnant and lots of women around the country. She created the first in-home urine diagnostic test ever made. And she pitched a room full of men and me. There were more men at the conference named Mike than women. And so she pitches this idea, and we end up being her first investor. And now she's in all the Target stores in California, and she'll be rolling out to more stores, and I can't say just Target, in 2021.
Wow.
And so it's on the shelf. I know that I'm her first investor, and now that we have the fund, that first investment came from Hillman. Now the fund has invested.
Oh, nice.
And so like, that's super exciting for me to have followed this company for this period of time and to be building something for such a big issue for women.
Yeah.
I never struggled with that issue of my own, but I know plenty of friends that have. Mm-hmm. And not only can you check your progesterone levels for getting pregnant, you can also check your progesterone levels when you're going through menopause. Mm-hmm. So like, it's actually working for me right now because I'm like, semi-old lady.
It's just semi-old though.
Semi-old.
Yeah. I know all about progesterone. We just had our first child, and thankfully my wife and I did have a miscarriage. I have no idea we don't know if it was caused by any of that at all. But that's very exciting. That's an awesome product. Definitely going to let some of our friends know about that and that it's at Target. So on one of your podcasts that we listened to, you were describing the fundraising process pre-COVID and the George Floyd murder, right? Mm-hmm. And that you had some really good traction. But then those things happened, and particularly the latter, it sounds like, and then it became even easier. Can you describe that sort of transition? And we know what's happening and what happened, but what's happening in the investment world, in the business world that you're seeing from your seat?
So, I've been in this work for a few years, and for years, myself and lots of people around the country have been doing this work and saying that, and even there's a McKinsey study that says that investing in diverse teams, like, actually has a greater return on investment. So we've been preaching this for years. Mm-hmm. So for us, like, we now have inbound interest into this story. So we had a large enough like social media and PR and marketing footprint for people to be able to find us over the last few, find us in this current moment. And I think really just like corporations, foundations, government, high net worth people are having conversations about economic justice and race on their own. They're listening internally to their own constituents, so their customers and their own teams. And they're saying, what do you want us to do? And they're now actually executing on those goals from a corporate responsibility standpoint. I think that right now what we're seeing is we're doing this because we have to. I think we're going to move to the point where we'll start doing it because we want to. That's the goal. But right now there's I have to. Mm-hmm. And we'll see if the tide changes so that we move from a, 50s, 60s mindset of civil rights to maybe in the 2020s, we move toward equal rights.
Yeah.
So I think we're just kind of living in a moment where all of those things are happening, if that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. So my other company is a marketing agency, and you mentioned that there's been studies, and I don't know the studies either, but that have shown like you're going to be more successful, you're going to be more profitable, you're going to have better results if you have a diverse board, leadership. If you do, in our world, surveys and focus groups of a more diverse group, even though you might think your demographic is A, if you pull in B and C, you might see things that you never even thought of, because I'm a white dude and I don't know, what a female is thinking or somebody of color is thinking. So, those are all things that, like you said, have been sitting there, and some people have been acting on them, some people have not. But we're now I'm seeing from my seat at the table that there's definitely some people that have to do it, especially as you go into the larger companies, Fortune 500, Fortune 100, public companies. They have to. Like, they're not going to get away with not doing it. But what I'm really excited about, and we're definitely trying to do, like, to be frank, we looked at our conference that we're having in April, and we realized we didn't have anybody on the main stage. We have panels and basically main stage. We didn't have anybody on the main stage that was Black. And we're like, well, let's fix that. Like, let's go out. We didn't even realize it because we were sort of ignorant to look. We weren't looking for it, right? And so, like, that's one piece. We're trying to diversify our interviewees on our podcast, and we have digital workshops. We're shifting focus to now bringing in digital workshops that are not just about business, but also the life that's going on in the world today. But anyway, sorry. The thing that I'm most excited about and that I see are the smaller businesses that really do care. Like, they don't have to. They could fly under the radar, probably. Sure, they would probably get some shit from their employees and their networks, but like, they could generally fly under the radar, and they're not. Like, they're sacrificing potential profits, and it's more expensive, but they're doing it because they want to do the right thing. And so, to your point, I think, at least from my small network, that it seems like people really do. They're getting closer to what you said. They're getting closer to wanting to do it, and that's pretty exciting to see. I think, you said, and I totally get what you say, like, 2020 is the worst, but there's like right under that could be the best long term, Like, I'm just looking forward to, like,
what life looks like on the other side. We'll get to a point where, like, people aren't dying in droves, right? Where, it was a rough weekend, with losing our king and all that stuff. Like, that was rough.
Yeah.
And I'm just looking forward to the other side, where people aren't dying, people aren't being killed, like, and that we can all go back to doing the work of just being a better America. The America I lived in 10 years ago didn't feel like this.
Yeah.
Just did. And so I'm just looking forward to the change.
Well, I think you and your partner are, I got you.
Yeah.
You both are doing amazing.
I just don't want to feel like, oh, she works with her
Listen,
husband.
my wife.
I love that. First of all, I love partnerships that work together, because it's like, it's the ultimate trust. It's ultimate trust.
Oh, yeah.
Who better to have a business with than your partner?
Right. Yeah. For us, like, we had a fund pass 2 weeks ago because we're married, and I was like, okay, cool, bet. Like, we can't change that.
Yeah.
but it's the best situation, because he has a great skill set, I have a great skill set, and in COVID, it really works because we all live in the same house.
Yeah.
Right. Perfect.
That's good. You could strike out on that one. I think COVID exposed some whiffs.
I'm all about it.
Being stuck in the same house. But thankfully, my wife and I, we own some businesses together also, and we work great. So I totally get where you're coming from and feel blessed to be in the same place. So you both are doing an amazing work bringing the human component to investment. I think that was one of the biggest things that attracted us to interview you is you're doing it different than Silicon Valley and New York and Boston, and the way that it's been done for the past 20 years, like you're taking an approach first of all, you're probably sacrificing a shitload of money by focusing on the underserved, right? But you're doing it out of passion. And then you're the little things, like making you more accessible to a founder who...
Taking the approach of being approachable.
Yeah. Like, first step in being a good human being, like having empathy and doing all of that. So I have no doubt that, when this is all over, whatever that means or looks like, you will be known as one of, many people who are giving back and being empathetic and helping the next generation of people succeed, especially the underserved community. But I have one more question for you before we leave. And we ask everyone this question. And I want you to answer both from your personal side and your business side. What does success mean to you?
So both of those things actually meld into one answer. And most of my friends and family know this. So, oh my goodness, I don't know what year it was, but I watched a movie called Waiting for Superman. It's a documentary. It's about a gentleman named Jeffrey Canada. Jeffrey was the inspiration for building the Harlem Children's Zone. It's a 1 square mile space in Harlem, where they have educational programming from birth to high school, through high school, and then there's a process for getting kids into college. For me, I want to build more zones throughout the country so that children have a better opportunity. What happens in sometimes lower income communities is that if you live in a lower income community, social mobility and economic mobility are incredibly difficult. If you grow up in a really bad neighborhood, you have only a 5% chance of getting out. So I'm a 5%er, which is crazy. Not every one of my siblings is in my position. And so I want to help kids in the space that they are so they don't have to move. You should be able to succeed in life in the area that you're growing up in. And so for me, I'm driving everything that I do, both personally and professionally, so that by the time I'm 90 years old, that I'm building zones in the cities that I'm working and living in. So that's my answer. That will be my life's work.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, Candice, thank you so much for taking the time out of your very busy day to chat with us, educate our audience, educate us on the great things that you're doing at Hillman and Lightship. We will include all the links, so anybody listening to this or watching this, you can check out Candice and her Hillman and Lightship Capital. Click the links, check them out. Doing some great things. So Candice, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.